Welcome back to another edition of the Urban Echoes Network podcast. In the building with us, we got a special guest. I'm a little bit excited about this one because I normally don't have people that I know, but I'm very familiar with our guest tonight. We have the one and only Yamilka Torres in the building.
Thank you.
How you doing? Again, I'm Kimathi, a.k.a. Ramel the Writer. Y'all know me. You are a clinician.
That is correct.
So what I would like to do is, again, I'm familiar with your work in the SCRIP program. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell people about yourself?
Okay, so I'm Yamilka. I'm the clinician here at SCRIP. I'm also a program manager. So I started my career as an OT specialist, so occupational therapy, long ago. And suddenly I get this urge that I want to help people in a different capacity. Okay. So I meet this teacher, and this teacher is like, you can do so much in the social services field. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I started there. I got my associates at Manchester Community College. That's where I started my career. I then went to Central for my undergrad in social work. I then get my master's in social work at Springfield College. I then get my master's in philosophy of psychology at Walden. And I am currently ABD, all but dissertation, working on my PhD in psychology, which I'll be wrapping up sometime in June or July.
Okay, so you got a big brain with you.
I try.
You got a big brain with you.
I try.
Now, how does all of that, obviously, because that's a lot of mouthful. How does that all help in the field? First of all, how long have you been in the field?
About 16 to 17 years. I started, so my favorite population to work with, ironically, is geriatric, 65 and older. Okay. I just feel like there's not enough of us who want to help that population. And so that's my favorite. That's my favorite. I nurture them. I give them the love that, a lot of people don't have to provide. So I did that for about 10 years. I then did one-on-one counseling out in Granby with a phenomenal young lady. She did a holistic approach. So I did that for a while. I then did workers' comp for a couple of years. So I kind of been all over the social work spectrum. Okay. Yeah.
But I see now that you landed with SCRIP.
I did.
And what is SCRIP about? Just for the audience that doesn't know, what is the SCRIP program about?
SCRIP is a wonderful program. And if I had to put it in basic terms, it's pretty much a place where you come to navigate your transition back into the community from incarceration.
Okay, returning citizens.
Returning citizens, yeah. Which
I am myself. So that's what I'm saying. I know, and I'm just having you educate the audience. I know what SCRIP's all about. I know the work that you do.
What's wrong with the term?
Returning citizens?
What the term that I said? What's wrong with that?
I don't know. I'm thinking I thought you said returning citizens. I thought we corrected, and I said returning citizens.
Right, but okay. I'm just curious to see what you think.
No. You can enlighten me.
I forgot what I said now. What did I say?
Okay.
Incarceration.
Yeah. So we again returning citizens.
Okay. So we help prosper employment, kind of deal with the trauma that people have, right? Because we all have trauma. We know that. We all have some sort of trauma.
Yes.
And so
especially that population. Me being a part of that population, I understand the untreated trauma unaddressed trauma that individuals suffer through, people navigate through or try to navigate through without any type of help. SCRIP obviously offer those type of resources, but
correct. So we have a couple programs. We have the COPE program, which helps you get into employment. We have the cohort program, which helps you, again, address those untreated traumas, undiagnosed trauma episodes that probably landed you guys in jail to begin with type of thing. So we try to address that. Then we do career building, financial literacy. So kind of the whole thing, the holistic approach as to what it is to transition back into the community successfully. Yes. If you will.
Because it's not just transitioning back. It's transitioning successfully.
In a different route, so that there's no returning back into DLC and all that good stuff. So
okay. That's important. With that being said, before we move forward, what are some of the issues that you believe, like what are some of the positives and the negatives that you've seen in your experience in this line of work?
Here at SCRIP?
Yes.
Particularly?
Well, just in your line of work, period, because it's not only are you just doing stuff at SCRIP, but you're also a clinician and you do other things.
I do,
But I know that you're in this field of reintegration. What are some of the pros and cons that you see in this field? Obviously, some work that we may need done, some things that you actually see improvement on. But what do you think about that?
I mean, I guess the biggest thing is kind of dealing with what we're struggling with.
Okay. Well, like the resources. Well, I'm not to cut you off, but we have resources like SCRIP. Now, being that you involved yourself in the SCRIP program, and now you're on the front lines where you're seeing individuals coming straight home from incarceration, dealing with these type of things. What are some of the things that I believe, and maybe I need to frame that question properly. What are some of the resources that I believe that individuals are lacking, and what are some of the resources that I believe that you may believe they're actually out there? Obviously, SCRIP is one resource.
So you mean logistically the resources, or what the individuals are suffering when they come out? Tell me which one.
What they're suffering from and what's out there for them.
So a lot of people suffer from sort of the unknown of trauma. So all the things that come with it. And one of the things that I really see most people struggle with is self-sabotage when they come out, and the lack of patience. If you spend 20, 25 years in jail, there has to be an insane amount of patience when you're out here to kind of navigate the differences that you will navigate, upon discharge. I think that's one of the biggest struggles for people. There is no patience. And who teaches you patience?
They want it immediately.
Who teaches you patience? Nobody, really. It's something that you kind of either genetically have, right? Or something that someone teaches you and you kind of learn behavior. But that's a rough one. Patience is an issue. And self-sabotage, some people have not really forgiven themselves. And as I say in every graduation, at the end of the day, this is a second chance program. But that's nothing if you don't forgive yourself for whatever it is that's bothering you, whether that's what landed you in prison or what has you out here or something that happened when you were young. You have to learn to forgive yourself. And that self-sabotage is real.
Let's get to it.
It's real.
Now, speaking of that, what I'm going to talk when we're talking about forgiveness, and we do current topics, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with my show, but we do current topics. And one of the current topics that I wanted to talk about, which got national press, was the woman who held her child hostage. It wasn't her child, it was a stepchild. Held her stepchild hostage for 20 years. And I'm thinking about the consequences of what this individual is going to be suffering with, traumatically and otherwise. Let's take a quick look at that.
You have seen the chilling body camera video. The survivor was only 68 pounds, rescued by firefighters from a home in Waterbury. In a statement released today, the 32-year-old, identified only as S, says he is speaking out to, quote, begin the process of reclaiming my life and to have my say on how my story is told.
Eyewitness News anchor Tanya Rivero in the newsroom with more. Tanya.
All right. Well, David and Liz, this is the first time we are hearing directly from the Waterbury, Connecticut man at the center of this bizarre domestic abuse case. In a public statement just released, he's thanking those, he says, rescued him, as well as those who are now helping him recover from 2 decades of captivity. Police say the man, now calling himself S to protect his identity, started the February fire himself in an effort to escape from his alleged captor.
Welcome back. Seeing something like that, where you'll see that an individual had, was stepmother, suffered and had this child suffering for 20 years. Obviously, this is an extreme example of somebody who fell through the cracks, somebody who's, I will say the system failed them. I wouldn't even necessarily say the parents, where's the mother, where's the father, but the system in general, just when family, everyone that's involved. And we can see clearly that this was a clear example of the system failing them, of his family failing them. Obviously, you are not involved in this case, but seeing something so severe, how would you think someone would be able to address that type of trauma, either coming from the perspective of the mother or the stepmother who did something like this to a child, or from the child who actually suffered from something like this?
All right, so that's a very loaded question. And what I will say, the first thing is absolutely society failed this kid. There's so many stipulations, regulations, there's so many things in place to prevent this from happening, especially in 2025.
As a professional, you know this.
Correct.
Okay.
And as a parent, right?
Okay.
As a parent, my child, if he's late 10% of the time or whatever the percentage is, there's an immediate letter that goes out that states, hey, according to state regulations, whatever the law is, policy 101, let's just say, your child has been absent more than so-and-so time, so we have to intervene. So there's interventions, right? You first start with the school and et cetera, and then it goes up to the state.
Safeguards.
Could probably even end up in court explaining why your child has not been in school the 10% of the time. So to regroup the question, there's just doubts in me as to what happened. So the doctors failed him. The school failed him. The community, the friends, the parent, just so many people failed him. And yet the one thing that comes up to me when I think of this kid is the resilience in him, right? Because he had to think about, I'm going to escape. Doesn't matter when or how, I'm going to escape. Yes. I think it's a beautiful thing to realize and point out that, yes, he went through all of this, but he's also a really strong and resilient kid who was able to think of an answer to get him, his way out.
Absolutely.
Is he going to live a life full of trauma? Yes. Will he overcome it? He may. It's extensive trauma. And one thing I know about trauma, right, is that you can do a lot of things to sort of diminish the symptoms of it, but the trauma itself doesn't go away. So it's embedded in the brain, right? And unless we can physically take the cells out of the brain, it's not going anywhere. So what you have to learn to live with it, right? Not fight against these traumatic events. And so teaching him these coping skills, right? And I'm sure that his mentality, his capacity is far beyond his age, or underneath. So there's going to be a lot of people that have to work with him for a while to kind of get him up to par on how to address all the things he went through.
Well, obviously he's going to be suffering for a while, but like you said, to point out that he was resilient. The fact that he could go through something like this, and the fact that obviously he started a fire to bring awareness to this, and obviously people ended up finding out about this because of the fire he set.
Right.
That's amazing. With that being said, I would, again, because I wanted to use an extreme example. But the reason what I wanted to talk to you about is being in this field, you deal with less severe examples, and we're talking about individuals inside the home. And I'm thinking about myself, and I think about my home life. So what I was hoping you could do is I was hoping you could kind of address some of the issues that you see in your line of work when you're dealing with individuals in their home life. Now, I say to myself, I'm an open book. So people know that I suffered from abuse from my father. So my father was very abusive at home. So a lot of people keep saying, well, the father needs to be in the home. A father needs to be in the home. And I'm not saying that a father don't need to be in the home, but at the same time, what type of father do you have in the home?
Right.
So myself, I could say that it was beneficial to have my father in the home because I had that mother figure and father figure. But at the same time, I knew that the what my father was equipping me with wasn't what I needed. He didn't give me everything that I needed because he didn't know. And some of the things that he didn't know, I had to learn myself. So I had to just learn that although my father was in the home, that wasn't the greatest example of just having a father in the home. But it was good because I had a male figure in the home. With that being said, how do you feel? What is what's your insight on individuals having a male figure in the home, a female figure in the home? What's your insight on that?
So what you're describing sounds like generational trauma. When you say things like my father didn't know, right? Or my father, could have done better, or those are types of examples that come with generational trauma. Yeah. And so a lot of us have people in our homes that have generational trauma, right? So those are hidden traumas that they have not addressed, right? And so if you don't know it's broken, you don't fix it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's
That's
hard.
why I gave him a pass, though. That's why I'm saying that because I gave him a pass.
Yeah.
Because
Did you?
I did sort of, because I had to learn when I was getting older the fact that my father did what he felt was best. I don't agree with his methods, but me being an older individual, me having wisdom, now I gave him a pass where I said, you know what? Even though I think it was effed up, I understand that he felt that what he was doing was right.
Or he didn't even know, right? Because you don't really think about, hey, is my parenting right? Because
I think he knew, but I think he believed he was doing the right thing.
Well, no, because we know that parenting doesn't come with a guide. It doesn't come with a handbook, right? Yep. And so we are bringing what we know from the past with what we see, right, to make this collection of parenting.
Yes.
So I know you think he knew, but maybe he didn't know.
No, I know he didn't know.
I
knew he knew what he knew. I knew he gave me what he knew.
Was best.
It was, and it was learned. And then when I had to do what I did is I did the math to what my grandfather did. Right. I did the math to how my grandfather raised them. I started to look at my family. Then I started to see, again, it was a system that I'm Jamaican. So we have this cultural thing. And I had to learn that a lot of cultural things spilled over. And again, my father didn't have the tools. My father was a provider.
Correct.
He was he was a disciplinarian. He wasn't a teacher.
Was he a tough love kind of guy?
Oh, you're not. He was the type of person where if I'll never forget. I'm telling you, quick story. If I'm running, I fail. He's not gonna pick you up. He'll say, let him sit, let him feel that. And I know the wisdom of that now. But when you have on the flip side, like I'm saying, with a mother's gonna coddle.
So
a mother gonna grab him up. Come here. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. When the father, no. So I respect and I understand now.
Yeah.
He wanted to equip me with strength. Let him get up on his own. Let him feel that pain so that hopefully he won't do that again. When my mother would try to come here.
Nurture,
and
right? We're nurturers.
Yeah, that's what women are. Women are nurturers. Men are more we're going to get you right.
So I will say, to answer your initial question, the best formula for parenting, correct, in my opinion, clinical and personal, is a balance. Parents, co-parents, aunts, uncle, whoever's raising, they have to balance each other out. We can't have two nurturers and two authoritative parents.
I agree. One of the topics that I seen from the last episode was obviously this person, the system failed them. And I believe, again, two-parent household, what do you think about having the structure of a two-parent household?
So you know what? It's ideal to have a two-parent household, right? It's ideal to have a parent it's ideal to have balance. Again, I think that's really important. So you need to have a nurturer, someone who provides the love, the comfort that you need to kind of go through life and all the rough patches of life. It doesn't have to be feminine, Kimathi. It could be just the nurturing aspect of it.
All right. I'm saying a feminine. I believe you have a feminine component and a masculine component.
Okay, you could. I mean, I guess you could see it that way. I'd like to approach it from a different scenario. So instead of saying feminine, I'd like to say the mom or let me just do one of the parents. One of the parents provides that nurturing love, and the other parent should provide the exact opposite, right?
Yes.
What I don't agree with, and this is something I've said for forever, right, is someone who can just discipline and not provide love.
Yes.
Right. In order to discipline a child, a person, you need to provide both angles. That's love and discipline.
Yes.
Can't do one without the other.
That's why I'm a big proponent whenever I see single mothers saying, I can do it all. I can do it all. I believe you can do a lot, but I truly believe in my heart, just my opinion, that you need that balance. You need the balance of, I say masculine, feminine. You can say whatever you want to say.
Look, the reality is masculine and feminine.
Yeah, because I believe, again, me dealing with my father in my household, I understand the principles and rules that my father gave me from a masculine side. And then I can see the balance of what my mother gave me.
Were they beneficial?
It was beneficial to a point. I had to learn while I got older what was good and what was bad. Right. I had to learn, eat the meat, cut off the fat.
But that's in every household, you know, as you
but
age.
At least I had that. There's some scenarios where I believe, and I don't like to use a negative term, but you have men being raised by women. So the issue that we're talking about right now, where you have this masculine side, if there's no masculine role model when it's home to give it to them, that's why they say you got a lot of men that are
soft,
feminine made. I'm gonna just use that word. They're feminine made.
And so they're
made by women. They regulate their emotions like a woman. They don't regulate emotions like a man.
Okay.
Growing up, I got checked on certain stuff. I gotta call you because I got checked on certain things growing up. My brother called me out.
And said what?
Men called me out. Like, stop that. You acting like you're gonna cut that out. You're going to cut that out because, again, that's not a trait that a man would present. These are things that men are supposed to do, and there's things that women are supposed to do, in my opinion.
And you say you pick that up more if there's just a mom?
I say that without a man being present in this child, and especially a young man's life. I can't necessarily speak for women, although I still believe, again, that there has to be a male figure in a woman's life. At least to teach this woman that outside of sex, her value outside of sex. Because if you don't have that value outside of sex and a man is going to keep coming at her, she's not going to understand, my opinion, she's not going to understand what man is really want me for me and what man just want me for what I have to offer.
Okay.
So I believe that a father will instill some of these things in her real. Like, I talk to my daughter real. I don't talk to my daughter and play all I don't do is I just don't curse.
Right.
But I talk to my daughter like, yo, this is what it is. This is what you got to think. This is how men are. These are the types of things that you need to do. If you want men to think of you about this way, look at you this way, this is how you got to present yourself. Because if not, these are the things that I believe is going to happen to you.
Well, so I agree with that, right? So I can't tell you what it is to be a dog because I'm not a dog.
Exactly.
So I think it's important to know that each individual can offer what they are, right? So studies show that obviously a parental figure makes a difference. Yep. There's a positive impact, there's a positive influence. So they're important.
Do you believe, in your professional opinion, do you believe that a woman can effectively raise a man?
Yes.
Okay.
But there will be things that a woman cannot teach a child that a man can teach. Absolutely. There will be missing pieces. But do I think there's successful people that come from a single mother home? Absolutely.
Of course. And I'm not disagreeing and saying that it can't. But the same question, I'm going to flip it. Do you believe that a father can teach a young woman to be a woman?
So no, that's what I was saying earlier. He can't teach what you are not.
But you said so fast when I had mentioned a woman being raised in
Well,
a
I'm a
man.
woman.
But that's what I'm saying.
And
You said
I was gonna tell you.
it was instant.
I was gonna
But right when I had mentioned about a woman, a father raising a young woman, then it's I don't know, maybe
I had to think.
Sexist.
I will
Get it.
I will say that I have 2 young men who live with me. I have a 19-year-old and a 13-year-old son. I also have a 10-year-old daughter. The boys don't live with their dad. They live with mom. And just 2 days ago, we had a discussion. It's kind of time for them to come with dad because you're too soft on them. And I said, well, what do you mean I'm too soft? Let's have a conversation.
Feminine made.
And he said, my boys are soft.
Because you coddle too much.
Because I'm a coddler.
So you need that masculine side.
And so he's very present. He's an active dad. And so my thing is, if you're active and you're doing your part as, and being a father, then I can continue to be what I do because you're doing what you're doing.
No.
But no, now he wants to heighten the side of masculinity, right? So now if we were to do a percentage, we're at 50-50. Now he wants 75-25 because they're growing, right? And so...
Or he feels there's something lacking. So now he wants to step in.
There's lacking. There's a 5 a.m. Push-up that he wants him to do that unfortunately, I'm not going to get up at 5 and tell him, hey, get up and do push-ups.
Salute. Make him do them push-ups.
But Dad thinks he's going to do it magically.
That's right.
So
I respect it.
We had this conversation. We got into a little tidbit because I'm like, it's not about being soft.
Okay.
It's about me not being able to produce what you're producing, right?
So
that is your line of duty.
Do you agree with him?
Yes.
Okay. So you can say yourself, I
do.
see qualities that this man is lacking that I obviously, as a woman, cannot provide him.
That's
and
right.
as a father who steps in and sees this, I'm going to identify and allow this man to step in and do that.
Well, yes. And so with me, it's more about attunement of feelings and emotions. Are you okay? Let's talk about it.
Soft.
If that's what you call it. I'm a bit of a softer, but I'm more of a conversationalist. So, right, let's talk things out. Let's develop these feelings. Let's do what the average person...
You're going to work through these emotions.
Talking.
Okay.
That's what I do.
No,
That's
but what's
not
good is the fact that you could identify with that.
Yeah.
So the question that I would have is, do you believe other women? Because I believe, unfortunately, some women believe they don't need their dad. I can do that. I can get someone else to do that. I'm glad that you could identify and say, no, I can see that I believe that there are some shortcomings that my child has that a man can step in, his father, and help to facilitate this to make my child well-rounded and not be so soft.
So what I will say is when you ask a parent, you have to meet the person where they are, right? And that's a loaded question. So when you ask a mom, like let's just say you ask a mom, hey, do you think that dad is important? She has to answer the question directly on behalf of that child. Not what you went through with the person, not what you feel about the person. You know what I mean? You have to be able to answer directly for parenting purposes only. I think that's where the discrepancy is.
Okay.
So people start to answer because, I'm mad at him. I feel this way about him. He did me, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, if we tune the answer directly into a child, you should be able to say, yes, there is something that this person's father can give that I cannot produce just because it's not in women, right? To produce certain things in children. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also believe that, to your point, that we have a nature. And I believe that women have an innate nature to be more feminine, to be more loving, to be more, hospitable. And I believe men have a nature to be more protective, to be more guarded.
Right.
With that being said, in a scenario like that, I want to talk about regulating emotion because that's another component of having a masculine and a feminine, because obviously we regulate our emotions differently.
Correct.
I know that when I was coming up, I didn't learn. I had to learn in prison patience. I had to learn in prison the consequences of my actions. I had to learn, if you do this, this was going to happen. I actually learned, I play chess now, and I use chess as an analogy to my life as far as the steps that I use to think ahead.
Okay.
But as your opinion, do you believe, or what can you see in the differences between the emotions, regulating emotions between a man and regulating emotions between a woman, the masculine and the feminine?
So, first of all, I think that the majority of people do not know how to regulate their emotions. I think that that's the first discrepancy that we have. Whether you're a female or a guy, it really doesn't matter. If you don't know how to check your temperature and regulate your emotions and kind of go through the 0 to 10 and realize, hey, I'm starting to escalate, let me bring myself down, That's really the issue. It doesn't matter what you are, what gender you are. Emotions are neutral, right? That's the first side. The other side is women are innately, right, more emotional. But is it because we are in tune with our emotions, or is it because we're supposed to be? What do you think it is?
I just think that you are more in tune with your emotions. You can see two women walking down the street holding hands, la 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 la, no problem. And that's acceptable. Being that we have, again, women are they're softer, they're more accepting.
But do you think we're born with the knowledge of what an emotion is, like an emotional regulation?
No, but I believe that the fact that you have a child in your womb, that you've learned how to nurture something without we don't have that. When I first seen my daughter, that's when my first, I would say, real bond came. Not to say that I didn't bond with my child when she was in the womb, but obviously it's different. I believe a woman, you're gonna bond right when you get pregnant, you feeling that belly every single day, you doing all of that, you're gonna bond, and your capabilities of nurturing are different.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of emotions, I do think that emotions is something that has to be taught. You have to be taught to understand your emotions. It's not something that, I don't think you're necessarily born with that part, because there's a lot of females that I know that are not in tune with their emotions, right? And they hide, they suppress, they hide. And so in turns, you get the actual fear, right? And anger and all these other negative emotions that display because you're hiding all the other ones. So I think that's a trick question, only because I do think that we're more innately nurturing, but emotions have to be taught to regulate. You have to be taught how to address them.
Okay, so as a clinician, how do you teach, or what are some of the tools that you believe you can give to teach someone to regulate their emotions?
The first one is to accept them, right? So, if I'm sad, I'm sad. I don't have to ignore it. You have to face the reality that you have emotions, right? We're not robots. We can't just turn things on and off. As much as we want to, we can't. So the first thing that I always tell people is embrace your feelings. Embrace that emotion. Embrace the anger, the fear, the sadness, the happiness, the joy, the jealousy. You have to learn how to embrace these things in order to attain like a definition for them, attain how to resolve them, right? But you have to embrace them first.
Okay.
That'll be my first thing to anybody.
To embrace your emotions
Embrace
in order
them.
for you to figure out
Don't
how
ignore
to
them.
handle it.
Yeah.
And now I noticed that, again, we talk about, I've got to go back to the SCRIP program. Are there some programs inside the SCRIP program that helps with situations like that?
Yeah, so right now we're running a cohort that's called Ascend, and basically it's a 13 to 15 week curriculum group that we have here. And one of the topics that we have is social intelligence, emotional intelligence.
You work with the SCRIP program.
Yes.
And you were mentioning social and emotional intelligence. Give us a brief definition of social intelligence.
So social intelligence is your capacity to effectively communicate with others. Okay. So you're going to read the room, kind of see how you can maintain relationships with other people. It's just the way that you communicate with other people.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And now emotional intelligence
is your own. You check your own emotional. So you know that you check your own temperature. You kind of know where you at emotionally, like from 0 to 10. Where are you? So it's like an auto check of your intelligence,
so
of your emotions.
Outside, one is inside.
Or one is with peers and one is internal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when I think about that and I think about social intelligence, I think of some different stuff.
What do you think about?
I think about the environment that you're in. Now, I understand that when you're talking
part
about...
of it.
Yeah, because I think about what people say, street instincts. Now, I think like if a person is socially intelligent, they know how to navigate certain areas. So I mean, I know that's not how to, but that's just the first. That's the first thing.
Yeah, that's
I think
perfect
about.
Example.
Yeah, when
I've actually used that in our cohort.
Yeah, I hear that, and I'm thinking, if somebody know they socially intelligent, they know how to read. They know how to read the room. They know how to read people.
It's almost like common sense, right?
That's not so common nowadays.
No, it's not so common, but it's almost like your inner common sense of what's happening around you, type of thing.
Okay, and then when I see emotional intelligence, or what I think when I hear emotional intelligence, is like you said, me learning how to navigate myself, me learning how to balance my emotions. I had a big issue with my anger. I didn't know how to control myself. Not only did I not know how to control myself, I was my own worst enemy.
Self-sabotage, I said it earlier.
Yeah, well, meaning that I did self-talk. I did self-talk, and I was the type of person where I was literally like in my ear and my own brain, like gassing myself up. Like I would tell if a person did something funny, I'm like, this kid trying to play me. This really think I'm soft. This person, I got to do. And I would literally
overanalyze.
I would say, I almost say overanalyze, but what I would do is I would gas myself up. I would literally put myself in a position where I couldn't turn myself back. And I had to learn that, wait a minute, I'm self-sabotage. I'm putting myself in a position where I'm throwing myself out. What they say, crash out, I'm making myself crash out.
Right.
Now, last topic that I wanted to talk about.
Real quick, just to piggyback on that, I also want to say that one of the biggest things that SCRIP does with their programs is heighten your self-awareness. So sometimes with emotional intelligence, you just don't know that you're lacking it, right? And so pointing it out for some people, like, hey, this is really what's happening. You need to address this. Why is this making you upset? Finding triggers. But in reality, it's the self-awareness component that a lot of people miss.
How do you think
have
people
to be self-aware? How do they accept it?
Well, you're saying right now, you're saying that basically that people have to be aware.
Self-aware
of these issues. In a situation in your field, when you point something like that out, are people receptive?
Yes.
When you point that out?
Yes. It's it's not what you say most of the times, right? It's that cliche thing.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Gotcha.
And so I'm not attacking you, right? And so when we use cognitive behavioral therapy in sessions, what I'm doing is rewiring your brain thought, your process. And so what I want you to do, instead of thinking something negative, I want you to flip it and think of it a different way. So I'll point things out so that they can be self-aware, right? Now they know that there's something going on, and then I point ways to fix it, ways to address it. And obviously the addressment doesn't happen overnight. You know, therapy takes time. Growth takes time. So, but as long as you're self-aware, that is the first thing.
Yes.
In sort of recovering, yeah.
All right. Within your field, individuals coming home, returning citizens, not ex-cons, not convicts, returning citizens. Do you agree with that term, or you don't like that term?
I agree with it if we're being politically correct. But if you are a convict and you're an ex-con, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? You've already paid back your consequences. You've already done your time in jail. You've done your bid. But there's no need to cover things up.
So why do you think they do that?
I'm not sure. Do you want to tell me why they do that?
Why they say? I'm thinking that, again, I came home and I'm understanding that the term returning citizens is what people like to use.
Why?
Because I believe it's more palpable. I believe that it's easier for someone to
digest.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's easier for someone to digest returning citizen than for someone to say,
I mean, if we want to put a bow on something ugly, then that's what we're doing.
So you're saying that we put lipstick on a pig?
Mm-hmm.
So you think that we should just keep it as it is?
No, I don't think we should keep it as it is. And I also think that depending on the situation, you can use, the words interchangeably, but we don't have to necessarily steer away from using the word ex-convict, because that is what people are.
That's the reality.
Right? Yeah, that's the reality. And so again, if I am, and I guess it could be subjective. Like if you said to me, hey, Yamilka, I really don't like when you use the word ex-con, then I would be very mindful. Now I'm self-aware. It bothers him. Yeah. What it's doing is triggering something inside of you. Yeah. Right?
So you're doing that from a clinician standpoint.
From a clinical standpoint.
But I'm talking about from a societal standpoint.
Yeah.
Why do you think society, well, we ain't even going to get into that, but I think, again, we just discussed why I believe that term is acceptable and why that term is prevalent now compared to ex-convict.
It's like if I say an addict, an ex-addict.
Okay.
Is that appropriate, or should we say a person recovering from a substance abuse?
I would say, I don't know, because they talk about right now, but they'll say somebody's sick.
Yeah.
They'll use a term to say that somebody who's on drugs is sick.
Right.
Now,
so what we're doing is what? What are we doing?
We're cleaning it up.
We're covering it.
Well, I think not, because we're going to go into a whole different thing, because then I think now race going to come into play. Because now if you start talking about, even when it comes down to the war on drugs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're going to go to it.
Right,
so we're going to go into right now, being that you was talking about, let's talk about the home life.
What life?
The home life.
Okay.
Now, if we're in the home, I'm thinking about individuals who are returning citizens, ex-convicts, individuals coming home from incarceration. You work with a population of individuals that are returning into society, and they have to reacclimate themselves back into the home life, back into the work field. What are some of the issues and struggles that you see they face?
So the first struggle is really, again, I told you earlier, I think I mentioned it earlier about patience, right? So it's obtaining that patience to navigate through the obstacles that they're going to face. The biggest component here would be, and logistical, right? Would be housing, employment, and the family.
Do you believe those issues are lacking? Do you believe the resources out there are lacking?
Absolutely.
For this? Okay.
Yeah. There's not enough funding for housing. We know the housing market is not the best. And when you have a record, a certain record, or where you have a certain charge, it's even 10 times harder to get housing, to get employed, right? To be accepted back into society. So those are the things that I think I'm struggling with here as a clinician at SCRIP is finding those resources that people really need and can use. We need more people to hire people with records. We need people to really...
A second chance.
We need second chances. We really, really do. Yeah. You know, and it's not just saying on your website that you accept people with a background. It's really going through interview process with them, is allowing them to grow as people, you know? And I just feel like as much as we want to support people, we're not. We're just not. There's not enough jobs hiring. Yeah. There's not enough, you know, programs for restoration of families. You know, if you spend a lot of time in jail, chances are when you come out, you're going to have a little discrepancy trying to get into the family routine. Yep. It's hard.
It's a schedule. It's a whole routine.
Yeah.
That, again, and I know me personally. Mm-hmm. And again, we talked about certain things, and I told you I'm an open book. And some of the issues that I struggle with. Yeah. Me coming home after serving 24 years of incarceration and learning how to get comfortable with my family. Yeah. And I tell people, you get to a point where I'm after an hour, because we get hour visits. Mm-hmm. After an hour is like, all right, I'm ready to go.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah. It's not that I don't know what to do. It's just that right now I'm kind of all talked out. I kind of got used to this
routine.
condensed version of a visit.
Right.
We get everything done in this hour, and then once it's the hour done, we out.
Right.
Not only that, now it comes down to how do I begin to open up? If I'm closed off for so many years, which is what we do, and I'm closed off, how do you learn to get back into that routine? That's how you mentioned that routine. How do you learn to open up your emotions that I've closed off so long, that individuals close off, back into that?
Yeah. So I would say baby steps, right? I think the other part is that people want to rush and do everything. We can't do that. If you spend any time in jail, even an hour or a day, that there's triggers that are going to happen when you come out. And so I would say my first suggestion, which I tell my guys here, is slow down, pump the brakes, take it a day at a time, start slow. You know, you're going back into society. You have to reacclimate everything. You have to start slow. Give your brain and your heart the time to adjust to these new things. These new memories, it's going to happen, but you need to give yourself some time, some grace.
I agree.
That would be that would be the first thing that I'd tell people. And from there, different avenues happen, and we talk about different ways to kind of fix things. But yeah, I would say have patience. Patience is so big when you come out of jail. And I think that, I don't know if it happened to you, but I think a lot of people struggle with patience as it is. You want things to happen quick, right? Because if it doesn't happen quick, it's not going to happen. That's the mentality.
No, that wasn't me.
That wasn't yours. Okay, but it's most of the guys that come through the door. Yeah.
I absolutely could agree with that, because you have individuals who, like I know individuals who never had a job.
Right.
So to try to tell this individual who spent, 10 years in jail, 15 years in jail, to come home and get a job, but all they know is hustling and selling drugs, it's a hard sell. Yeah. And I understand that.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a pleasure.
Thank you.
I want to bring you back. I want to talk to you more.
Mm-hmm. I would love to come back.
I would love to talk to you about relationships. And if we could touch on that briefly before we go.
Okay.
Because I understand that I got a different view of relationships. And I'm talking about women dating men in prison and how they operate while they locked up. Now, I got a different view. I tell dudes, in my opinions on relationships in prison, completely different. But from a clinician standpoint, you have individuals who's coming home from incarceration and they've been dating women or they were with women, and I'm not sure if that's an issue that you face.
Yes.
And if you do, how do you address individuals and explain to them? Because I'm going to give my insight. I'm going to give my perspective.
So
that relationships that when they're dealing with these women and they're coming home and they're trying to come home and adjust to women, they're trying to come home, either build relationships with these women after they've lived their lives on the outside, doing whatever they were doing, good or bad. Do you have situations where you have to counsel men and explain to men how to effectively get into a relationship with their partner, whether it's a man or a woman? How do they learn to navigate that? Because that's something the reason why I'm saying that is because that's a segment in itself.
Yeah,
I believe
definitely.
that it's
a
big, major issue when it comes down to individuals who coming home and they have these expectations of a relationship.
So I think it depends. I think that if you say to me, someone who has spent, 15 years in jail, 10 years with the same person, they come out, I think they might have an easier chance to have a successful relationship kind of quicker. Versus if you've been single the entire time, you come out, you meet someone, the week you come out, you're in a halfway house, you meet someone, and you're trying to instill a new relationship, I think that is a struggling point for a lot of people. So I have some clients now that I say to them, you live in a halfway house. I don't want you to initiate an intimate relationship until you're either fully out, right, with no restrictions.
All right, so let me get this straight. You telling a man that hasn't been with a woman for a minute,
well, if
or a woman that hasn't, and again, I understand that.
Do you mean sexually or do you mean relationship-wise? I was answering relationship.
Because sometimes it's not even necessarily sexual. With me, I'm not going to say I didn't want to come home and I didn't want to do what I had to do. But at the same time, I knew that the component of companionship
is important.
It was important because I wanted to learn how to bond again with the partner.
But the thing is, when you the rushing part happens.
Yep.
And that's what worries me.
Yep.
And that's why I try to educate the people who come into my office that if you're mindful and self-aware of what you're doing and what you're getting into, then we're okay. But if you have no idea what you're getting into and you're rushing into a relationship and you have not been with a woman, or you haven't been with a partner for
what you mean no idea what you get
10
into?
years. So you don't know. So again, this is a twofold question. So if they're coming out of jail for a long time, and they're meeting someone that they met on the outside, right? That did not do any bid with them. So it's a new relationship.
Pen pal type shit.
Correct. No, it's a new one. You just met him when you got at the halfway house, right?
Okay.
So you're still in the restrictions of DOC, kind of, some people. It is hard to start a relationship from that point and then take it full force, is what I'm saying.
Why?
Because you're in a rush. You're in a rush to do so many things that you didn't do because you were locked up. And so that's why I say patience is a problem, and it's a virtue. It's double folded. It's a virtue because if you're able to maintain your patience and increase it, you're going to find a better partner for you in the long run. The rushing part is what scares me. Okay. So the first person that says, hi, you're handsome, is the first person I'm going to go with. That's a problem. You're not vetting yourself. You're not vetting the person.
Yes.
You have to have, that type of vetting process. And what I see is there's a rush, whether it's sexual, right? Or just a full-blown relationship or your intimacy. People are skipping the vetting process.
They're skipping the process of getting to know this person.
Yes.
Courting this person.
Correct.
Getting to know who this individual is
Correct.
as a person outside of what this person may provide for me.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's what worries me for people because, you tend to fall for someone, right, when you come out of jail for a long time and then you feel heartbroken. Now I have to go through this again. And really, you did it to yourself because you rushed through that process. That process you cannot rush through. You have to vet people. Even in friendships, it's like a friendship. You have to vet people before you let them in.
To let them to know who you're.
To know who you're letting in. Yeah, it's important to know who you're letting into your life, into your energy, into your soul. So, I would say that that's the biggest thing. Like, just again, pump your brakes when you come out, and just in every area, just in all aspects of the word. Slow down. Everything will come to you. It will happen. You just have to have patience.
Any closing thoughts?
No, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Okay, before we close, we do what we call is the trauma unit.
Okay.
And the trauma unit is my segment where I like to enlighten individuals to myths. It's a myth. There's a myths out there. There's a lot of myths. And I'm saying myths, I'm slurring, but there's a myth that black women are the ones that are predominantly on welfare. And that black people or welfare is what crippled and dismantled the black household, the black family. That's a myth.
Is it a myth?
It is a myth.
Okay.
They've showed that statistically, the economic breakdown of the household, there's so many other components that went into play. That welfare is one component because obviously back in the day when they had welfare, the father couldn't be inside the house. That was one of the stipulations of the welfare. But they've shown that systematically through media, through other sources, that the breakdown of the household wasn't only because of welfare. Make sense? Do you believe that welfare was one of the predominant things to break up a household?
No.
So what do you think broke down the black household or urban household?
In terms of parents or which?
In terms of right now, the black family, I believe, is in crisis. Meaning that if you were to pair other families, other cultures, and you were to look at the black household, if you would look at the way media portrays the black man and black fathers, the media portrays black mothers. I believe that we are systematically put in a position by the media to make it seem like, again, black men don't value, like I said in one of my last segments, black men don't value education. Black men aren't proactive in their child's life. Black men aren't, providers. Black men don't do all of these things that the media, this narrative that's being pushed out there. So what I like to do is I like to dispel myths. And one of the myths was that welfare was one of the reasons why it dismantled the black family. Now, although welfare was obviously a portion of it, it is not the main proponent of it.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with it.
So what do you believe will be some of the issues that broke down the black family? Or the family structure in general? Because I don't want to keep saying black family because we're talking about in urban neighborhoods. We're talking about...
But what are we saying parents? Are we saying couples? What are we saying?
I'm talking about the household structure. I'm talking about having a household that is beneficial to a child. And I'm not going to say...
That would be mom and dad, right?
Or it could be even same sex. Although I necessarily believe that it should be a balance.
You're saying parents?
Parents,
okay.
Yes. So... I'm using the component with my trauma unit where I talk about the black family and welfare.
Okay.
Well, what are some of your opinions, closing, that you believe can help strengthen a family structure as a unit?
As cliche as this sounds, communication is the biggest barrier to any relationship ending. I think that we are uncomfortable with uncomfortable conversations. And so we end up doing things that we don't have to do, right? Because that way I don't have to talk about what I really feel, right? So I would say communication and lack thereof is one of the biggest components of why homes dismantle.
Okay. So it all boils down to communication.
In my opinion, correct, yeah.
I believe I could agree, and I believe that strongly. Because I believe that me learning how to communicate with individuals, learning how to listen, because before I wasn't the type to not listen. You see, I'm listening to you. Before I'm just talking. But now I have the ability now to listen.
Which is a learned behavior. You have to learn to actually listen.
Absolutely.
It's not something that you can just do.
And not just hear you.
Yeah. Process, listen, adapt.
Listen to you.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I would say communication is probably the biggest deficit for any home, not just black homes, but just any home.
Any home
dismantle it, yeah.
Again, Yamilka Torres.
Thank you.
It was an honor to have you on the show.
I appreciate you.
Again, if anybody out there, we have resources. We have the SCRIP program. Yamilka Torres, I thank you for being in the building tonight.
Thank you for having me.
If you see something, say something. And why is that?
Because we can't assume that someone else is going to do it. You always want to take part into seeing.
Nah, exactly what happened with that.
Saying what you see.
Yes. Because you could save a life. You could be the one that saved that life.
Absolutely.
Peace, y'all.